Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I used this terminology in a few of my videos, and that was national conscious. And I don't know if a lot of you, or if you guys know exactly what that means, but I will give you now an example of national conscious, which is, past historical events that marked the conscience of a nation, of a tribe, of a group. Usually negative, situations or past events. Sometimes achievements, obviously, but usually, when you are attacked, when your country is at the brink of destruction, and you succeed eventually, you will never forget, or that will be repeated by generations and generations, how some people sacrificed and succeeded against all odds, or succeeded elimination and so on. And that is the forming and keeping the flame going of what was and what happened. And by doing that, you also keep in mind, unfortunately, who your enemies were at the time. And if certain groups or entities would like to, trigger something against those former enemies, they would use this kind of national conscience in order to unite the nation against the sometimes perceived, enemy, or sometimes real enemy. So I'm going to use here an example. By using, I think it's going to be Maria Zakharova, or whomever. It's going to be from, Maria Zakharova from, she's the spokeswoman of I think she's Sergei Lavrov's foreign minister spokeswoman. And she's a very intelligent woman. I have never seen her being dumb, let's put it this way, as I see the other side all the time being dumb, and make me celebrate when once in, 3 months, I hear someone who says something smart, unfortunately, but that's the team we have to work with against those evil enemies. So what happened now? If you remember the German defense minister, Pistorius, and his name is Boris Pistorius. He made some claims. I made a video on the article reporting Pistorius's statement, saying that Ukraine should be entitled, and no problem if Ukraine would hit inside Russian territory, would just attack, let's say they hit Moscow, but military targets. I personally think that, if I punch you in the face, you have the same right to punch me in the face. Not necessarily only to punch me in the face, you can kick me in the balls as well, because I initiated the attack. You don't have to be proportionate, if you know what I mean, because I wasn't proportionate to start with, which would have been not punching you in the face. So in this case, Russians, did what they did to Ukrainians. Yeah, you can say, well, the Ukrainians did it to Russians and all that. Well, nevertheless, it's a war. So if I punch you, you can punch me, But then to have a third party, which is Weasel, Germany, unfortunately, I have a very soft, maybe hard, I would say, spot for Germany. Not soft, I have a hard spot for Germany. And really, really hurts me to see that great nation and being so subjugated by others. And unfortunately, their balls were snipped 1945, and they are just what they are nowadays. So this Pistorius made those claims, and we have Zakharova responding, Mr. Pistorius, in something that we can, or I can view as, remaining kind of in the national conscience of the Russian nation. So maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive about it, but some people who I don't have to convince about it will feel it. So let's go here and see what's going on in this article coming from Sputnik. And it says that Pistorius's remarks on Ukrainian attacks on Russia should be, and I'm quoting, memorized. What does that mean? It hurt us so much that we will never forget it. That means when we're going to have a chance, we're going to F you up. All right? Russian foreign minister spokeswoman said. Probably the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That's why what probably is. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakarova has responded to German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, who recently claimed that Ukraine's attacks on Russia are justified, as long as they do not target civilians. Well, sorry to agree with Mr. Pistorius, but I don't think that is something that Pistorius should have said. Otherwise, who the hell are you? I mean, you are the defense minister. I'm just a guy here, analyzing certain situations. But you have a, how should I put it? You have a title, you have a country, you represent something. You should probably have kept your mouth shut if you were impartial. But you are on the other side, so obviously you are involved. Earlier this week, Pistorius told the German broadcaster that it is, and I'm quoting, normal, and I'm ending the quote, that Ukraine launches limited attacks on the Russian territory as long as no cities and no civilians are targeted. And I'm quoting now. Has everyone memorized that? Limited strikes are an acceptable tactic. Boris Pistorius, you don't forget your statement either. In any case, I will remind you, end quote, Zakarova said on her Telegram channel. Now that's a woman right there. So, has everyone memorized that? Well, I hope they did. Limited strikes are an acceptable tactic. Boris, you don't forget your statement either. In any case, I will remind you. Well, that means something is about to come. The spokeswoman also wondered if the German Defense Ministry established the perpetrators of the sabotage of Nord Stream pipelines and if the destruction of Germany's critical infrastructure project was also something, and I'm quoting, acceptable tactic of limited strikes. End quote. She also asked for more transparency in the matter, while inquiring where Berlin's, and I'm quoting, elder brother in NATO forbade the country to look into the blasts. So she's tough, she's intelligent, and she's got more balls than all Pistorius, Baerbock, and what's the other guy's name? I don't even know the chancellor's name right now. He's such a weasel. Anyway, the Nord Stream gas, Scholz, Olaf. The Nord Stream gas pipelines built to deliver gas under the Baltic Sea from Russia to Germany were hit by explosions last September. Nord Stream's operator, Nord Stream AG, said that the damage was unprecedented and it was impossible to estimate the time repairs might take. Russia considers the explosions at the two pipelines an act of international terrorism. I mean, how else would you consider it? Imagine that was a pipeline between, let's say, United States and Canada, and someone, would do that to them. Do you think they would just forget about it, like they try to do here? There are no official results of the investigation yet, though U.S. journalist and Pulitzer Prize winner Seymour Hersh alleged the explosion. Anyway, U.S. denied, and Norway as well. So, this is going to be something that the Russians obviously will not forget. Remember about here, as long as no cities and civilians are targeted. Let me remind you a little thing here. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. I mentioned this on one or two videos before. About, let's say, in 2002, 2003, I got my nail on an audio. It was on what that was. I can't remember. It was that little thing. I can't tell you actually. But anyway, I think you can still find it. Where you have, it wasn't an audio. I still have it. I think somewhere should be an MP3 somewhere, 1,000 years old, where it was a BBC broadcast. And a BBC broadcast, it was the individual over there, I don't know who he was, and he was reporting on the atomic bomb dropped in Hiroshima in Japan on the 6th of August 1945. And this reporter from the BBC says that the atomic bomb was dropped by the US on military installations in Hiroshima. All right, that was the reporting of BBC. Well, since that reporting on, as I said, maybe 2000, 2, I think it was, or 3, something like that. For me, BBC was gone. There was the divorce. All right. And that, remember, that was in 1945, the broadcast. So if the Ukrainians will do a little attack on, let's say, on Moscow or St. Petersburg, the cities, do you think they will say they hit, I don't know, the theater or the ballet or Bolshoi, whatever? No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say military targets. And the mass media will report exactly like BBC reported on the 7th of August 1945. I guarantee you that. If you don't believe me, wait, because I think that's going to happen. I think the Ukrainians eventually will succeed in hitting Moscow with one of their drones, you know, those drones with a jet engine that I had from the Soviets, and then they upgraded it and they used the Americans to be able to guide them. The ones that hit the angles, military-based, the airfields, so on. No, that one. They're capable, perfectly capable, and they will do that. I'm 99.9% certain they will do that, and that would fall somewhere in Moscow. I don't think it's going to hit the Kremlin. I don't think it's going to hit the Ministry of Defense or anything like that. I think it's just going to hit something. And they will say, they will report here that the military target was blown up. The Russians can show you whatever they're going to show you. Not necessarily they're going to show you the exact, place. But anyway, these guys will not say that bomb hit a whatever possibly will hit. But hey, I'm just getting ahead of my skis. But I'm, as I said, Russia will not forget that. And she hopes that Pistorius will not forget either. That means we're going up. Right? Unfortunately, Pistorius replaced another defense minister, a woman, I can't remember her name right now, but she was kind of like, I don't know if you should do this. This guy is a yes, sir, okay, or jawohl kind of guy, to use it in German, I guess. So, here it is, my friends. That's national conscience building for you, because that's going to happen. That's going to be taught in school if Russia doesn't collapse, and is going to remain in the memory of the Russians. How the Germans were okay with the Ukrainians hitting their towns, their cities, their population, because that's how they're going to make it to sound, you know what I mean? So you're going to see. That's how you build it. Now, if the Ukrainians do that, that's going to be an even worse situation where you say, see, there was the green line from Germany. So Germans again, German tanks, okay, Germans want to do this, Germans want to do this, German tanks again on the territory of Russia and so on. They will make it that way, and if they want to deliver more than murder, armored vehicles and all that, which they delivered, we'll see. They delivered what? The Patriot system came from Germany, I think the first one. So, well, that actually united the Russians, and that was a bad move. The same thing with kicking out about 20 or more diplomats, spies, however you want to call them, from Berlin, from Germany. So the Germans kicked out Russians out. And the Russians said, okay, we're going to do the same thing. So, the so-called, how they call it, the Great Patriotic War that was against Germany, has big ramifications and big echoes in the Russians' hearts. And believe me, when they hear about Germany again trying to stick its nose where it's not its business, the Russians will be united regardless how are quarreling among themselves right now. Bad move, but what do you want? It seems like the Germans not only lost their balls, they lost their ability to reason here and there, or they are so under the thumb of the boss that they can't even escape. I am very sorry to experience this. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.